It's always something. Like if I didn't start a stream with no sound, you guys would probably leave because that's what I do now, right? I was um I was talking for what a God about 3 minutes without saying anything. I need to get some headphones. Yeah, I just the headphones are so uncomfortable. I have a really nice set of headphones here, but I can hear my own voice in my headphones. It's just weird, and it throws me off. But yeah, if I want to look totally legit, right? I can I can throw these on. That kind of goes with the green screen I have up, right? But what I was saying was, welcome everyone to the live stream. And then I was looking at some earlier comments about maybe starting earlier. If you mean what I was trying to say was, if you mean starting a few minutes earlier, yeah, I shouldn't be late every week or every time I get on. And if you're talking about starting earlier in the day, my Tuesday and Sunday live streams start 5 and 6 hours before this one, time wise. And if you're talking about different days, like Monday, I think Sephron was asking about Mondays. Why not, right? I can stream anytime I want. Maybe Monday I can try. I can get on Monday morning and see who shows up. It's fine. I love live streaming. If you didn't notice, I do it, 3 times a week already. Why not 5 days or 7 days a week? It doesn't, right now work is a little bit slow, but it's picking up. I just got another job this morning that I'm going to go to tomorrow. And so I'm excited about that because this agent, I do real estate, architectural photography. And she's used me on maybe 10 or 12 jobs over the last maybe the last 3 or 4 years. It's nothing, right, for one agent, and she does really nice properties. But she uses a local photography company that's pretty high end. They have several photographers. I could work for them, right? But they have several photographers. But they only pay you like $30 per job. And I'm like, I ain't driving out there for $30. I would get a lot more business, but man, I don't want to work that hard for $30. And then they charge between, $200 and $500 for the photo shoot to the client. And they pay the photographer next to nothing. So yeah, anyhow, but she's called me twice this week for 2 different jobs, the one this morning and the one earlier this week. So I have some hope that maybe she's starting to like my work a little more. Because 3 years ago, I was pretty much still kind of wet behind, or green behind the feet, or what's that term? I don't know. I was still a little bit green in real estate, right? Photography. I've since, improved quite a bit and pretty much get good results. I'm still not happy. I know I could do better. But they're certainly much better than they were 3 years ago when I started. So I'm going to see if I can, because I've never asked her for a job. She's always just reached out to me to do one. The very first job was kind of a referral from one of my clients. And, they were like, you want me to see if she could use you for more jobs? And I said, I've already done one for her. And if my work doesn't stand on its own and she doesn't want to call me again, I don't want you guys to put any pressure or influence on her decision about who she's going to use as a photographer. Because, once you establish a relationship with a client, which she already has apparently a good relationship with this other company, I don't like to tread on that. And it's very hard to do anyway. Even if you do a better job, they still will use the person they have a relationship with because they've already kind of built that trust. And, this other company, they also do the Matterport with the dollhouse and 360 stuff. So I'm trying to get into 360. It's a lot it's a lot of overhead doing 360 though. And the camera I bought an Insta360 which there's a lot of agents using that. Not agents, I'm sorry. There are a lot of photographers using that, and the images I see that they take are pretty good. Like I could charge. I would feel comfortable charging for the kind of images that I saw that they took with the same camera. I don't know why I can't get the same results. It's just really frustrating. But I'm going to keep trying. There was recently a big update on the Insta360 that hopefully will help with the image quality, because it's just horrendous, and I can't figure out what I'm doing wrong, what settings I'm doing wrong, and there's no live stream or channel like mine for the Insta360 that I can just go on and ask a question or show them an image that says, you know, hey, this image sucks. You know, what did I do wrong? Here are my settings. You know, it's just, it's very frustrating. So that's one of the things that hopefully I can fill in that gap. If you're frustrated with your Olympus camera or any kind of photography, you know, at least I can get you in the right direction or get you started. You know, if you're sort of a beginning photographer, you know, if you're a very high-end professional photographer already or have a lot of experience, which a lot of you do, usually my help is in the form of just finding something in the menu or some little workaround for certain things. And that's helpful too, though, right? I mean, even for very, very experienced photographers. So I'm very happy that I can provide that for people. But I'm trying to find the same thing for Insta360, and it's just not there. Okay, so let me back up here a little bit on the text here on the chat, and an electric shock. You guys about the sound. John Softly, good to see you, and I know it's late for you. And Casper, oh thanks. And I did see some new images you posted. Casper has been posting on my forum some images from the Olympus 100 to 400, and it's got me tempted to get that lens, say, versus the 300mm f4 Pro, because they're, you know, the versatility of a zoom really can't be understated when you're working with telephoto lengths in particular. But I appreciate you sharing that with everyone. So if you guys want to see some images, pretty much raw images straight out of camera from that lens, Casper's posted quite a few for you guys to look at, and a good variety. Some, you know, some architecture stuff and lots of butterflies and moths and things like that. And Amir's here, good. John Leach, keep us on our toes. And Bob, yep, usual start. I know, no sound. How's it going, Ron? I'm doing well, Corna. How are you? You were in the stream last time, and I didn't say hi. So I want to make sure I say hello this time to you, Corna, because I saw your name, but I was going through everything, and then I just forgot to get back to it, you know. And Levente, good to see you. I did work on your astro picture a bit, so I'm going to post the edit that I did in my forum. Maybe I can show you now. Where is it? Because I do a photo editing live stream that a lot of you join as well, but a lot of you don't. Where's desktop? What? Why isn't it here? In this folder? Oh, here it is. Oh, I put everything on the external drive now. That's why. Might be easier just to pull it up. Well, Levente, are you going to be in the, I'll just show you real quick. I think it's this button. No. This one, yeah. Excuse me. Here you go. So here's my edit that I did. It took me about 10 or 15 minutes to work on it. And like you were saying, it was the haloing around the trees that was kind of an issue. So I just put in a mask and brushed a little bit to fix that. And I put a mask around the Milky Way to kind of, you know, accentuate the stars and colors there. But anyway, that's that. So, I mean, since you're here, I thought I'd just show you. All right, let's see. Archery Escuda says, no, it's just the time zone, Rob. Don't mind us. We'll stay late for it as long as you keep... I'll try. Green behind the ears. Thank you. Wow, I'm way behind on these texts. Yeah, we got sound. Peter, if you were here for the first few minutes, though, there was no sound as usual. It's because I changed mics, right? So this mic has... this is a great lav mic, this Boya thing. I paid like $25 for it, I think. But it has a little switch for camera and smartphone, right? So it has a TRRS or TRS virtual plug. And I have to turn it to smartphone so it doesn't drain the battery. But then when I use it on my computer, I have to put it back to camera. And then it needs to use the little, it has a little RJ45 or some battery in here that I have to swap, you know, change time to time. Maybe I could start Insta tutorials on the Insta cameras. Oh my God, I would be terrible at it because I'm so bad at that camera. If I could get good pictures out of it, I would maybe think about doing tutorials for it, but yeah, DeMorgan is talking about the silence in the beginning. Chuck Eckert, good to see you. John follows, always good to see you too. And Lauren is here, even though he says he's not. And I'm planning on staying for the other stream too. My teachers were never sure. Oh, okay, I got you. And oh, nice edit, thanks. Awesome edit. Yeah, it came out okay. It's, you know, it's just similar as it's not too dissimilar from any other kind of editing. You just have to see where the light is and adjust for it. And Severance, I just looked up that Insta360, very interesting. But after buying the EM5 III, and as they say on the live stream, whiskey knife fights, I did a thing, and the wife, oh, yeah, that's the good thing about being single, is I only have to answer to myself, right? So when I buy something, I can enjoy it. I don't have to like half enjoy it and half sweat bullets because, you know, how am I going to tell this to my significant other? And Graham is here. Hi. And Randy says, always put off tomorrow, which can be done today, but isn't tomorrow yesterday's today? Wait. Yes, it is yesterday's today. Silence is golden. And Barry's here. Okay, good. So, excuse me. God, a couple of weird things happened today too. Just, you know, I don't know. I see deer all the time, right? So no big deal. And groundhogs time to time if my dog doesn't kill them. But my dog is barking like crazy this morning, and I look out the window, and it's this goat. There's a goat in my front yard. I'm like, what the hell is a goat doing in my front yard? A little white one, kind of a baby goat. It was very small. I was like, I had to take a double take. I was like, is that a goat in my front yard? I'm like, come on. So I put my shoes on and I went out and I said, this belongs to somebody, so I got to try to catch it, you know, and just leave it out in the front yard so people can. But I couldn't catch it, and I hope it's okay. But a half hour later, the owners were walking around my yard looking for it, and I went out and I said, oh, you know, I tried to catch it for you this morning, but it ran off down the street that way, and you know, good luck. So hopefully they found the little guy. It was really cute. I should have went out there with an apple or something, some kind of treat to draw it in. Uh, but I don't know how to catch a goat. I never thought I'd say that, ever. I don't know how to catch a goat. And Diane Jude, hi. It says here, I just bought the Mark III and my 2020 Photoshop Elements doesn't support RAW files. They say they don't have the update yet. Any suggestions? Yes. What you need to do is search for on Google Adobe DNG converter. And once you download that, you can convert your .orf files to .dng, which is the equivalent raw image. And then you can edit the pictures as raw images, but they'll be with a .dng extension. But save your .orf files until the update comes that'll automatically read the ORF files. So it's called Adobe DNG. Let me make sure they still have it though. Yeah, it's here. So so you see here, I'll zoom it in a little bit. So I just searched for Adobe DNG converter, and then I scroll down here, and it's the Adobe Digital Negative Converter. And I clicked on that, and then they have download links here for Windows and Mac. And there's some workflow overview here and how to use it and stuff. It's very straightforward. You select the folder here that your images are in, and then you can save it to the same location or a different folder. There's some naming conventions you can use to change things, etc. So this is what I did until Photoshop was able to support a new camera that I may have bought. But once the software was updated and I could read the raw files directly. But if you have like Photoshop Elements, it may never be updated to support the camera, so you're going to always have to use this workflow with the DNG converter. And you don't lose any image quality. You lose some of the proprietary things that Olympus has for their files, but image quality wise, you won't lose anything. And oh, that's right. I was on Peter Forsgaard's live stream yesterday. Yeah, he was very nice to have me on his show. That it's always a good time to hang out with Peter. We shared some ideas after the stream about doing another kind of collaborative video. So that might be interesting. I have to give some thought on that, how to make that really entertaining and educational at the same time. But look for that in the coming month or so. And a goat for a goat. I don't get that. My friends met a goat during a really bad hangover. I ate it, a leftover. I'm so confused. God, Lauren. Lauren says seeing goats in your yard is said to be related to COVID-19. Yeah, you never think of goats in the DC area. No, I didn't take any pictures because I wanted to catch it, so I don't carry my phone with me at home. It just sits on the charger. And I do want to talk about something that came up during Peter's stream that I didn't really articulate too well, because there was some legitimate commentary on that in the chat section that I wasn't able to address. And I'll talk about that because it still confuses me. I'm still trying to wrap my brain around this concept. And Amir is asking, have you had the chance to read the interview with Jip interview a few days ago? Yeah, I saw the one about where they're talking about that they're going to keep the Olympus brand and go into maybe the security cameras and concentrate on video and consumer video. So I was a little bit discouraged by that, actually. I mean, it's nice that they're continuing the Olympus brand. They're going to continue to support, us as photographers that have our OMDs and our pens. But I didn't see anything that said, yeah, we're going to continue the OMD line and the pen line. That would have made me happy, But what I read there was they're going to do security cameras and focus on video. So if they're talking about upping their video game on the OMDs and pens, great, but they didn't say that, right? And I always take any interviews and things like that with a grain of salt because, they can say anything they want. I don't know why I had tiny screen there. They can say anything they want, right? Just like Olympus was saying, yeah, we're not selling, everything's going full steam ahead until it's not, So we'll see what happens. I should be getting my EM5 Mark III back from warranty this week. I sent it in for some warranty work, and what happened is it wouldn't power back on after it went back to sleep. And they got it on Monday. They sent me an email Tuesday saying they need the receipt of purchase to be covered under warranty, and I was like, okay. So I sent them the receipt. Then they sent me an email yesterday saying that, everything's been approved. They're going to cover everything under warranty. So if they mail it out tomorrow, maybe I'll get it back Monday or Tuesday. So probably by next Tuesday's stream, I'll give you an update what my experience was with Olympus warranty service. And so far it's pretty positive. I have one little niggle that I need to make sure they took care of, and I'll talk about that when the camera comes back. And it's kind of my fault, but then I called and talked to them about it. But when I looked at the repair order, it didn't have those notes from that conversation we had. So I don't know if they just didn't update the repair order on the system, but they actually did the work that I had asked them about, or, like I said, I'll talk about that more when it comes in. And Diane, hello. I thought I saw another Jute, Jutte. Hopefully I'm pronouncing that right, or is it Jute? Hold on. Oh my God. Why did the screen go all the way back up to the top? Oh yeah, you were asking about the DNG, okay. And then Levente says, one guy fell out of the window with a sandwich, the others followed, saw it was okay. Then late on the lawn, a goat turned up. Okay, I understand. God, that is weird. I have to tell you, my fraternity days, it has nothing to do with a goat, but it does remind me of a story where we had a balcony, off the 3rd floor of the frat house. And, some of the girls would walk by, the students, and we'd hold up cards with numbers on them and rate them. That was cruel. And then one time, this guy tied a dollar bill to the end of a fishing line and threw it out off the balcony, and people would be walking by to pick up the dollar bill and he'd yank it away. God, we did some crazy things back in the day. And Rudolph says, back to one more Olympus camera soon. A look at Wikipedia tells you it will be the Pen F. I want a new high-end sensor, EM1 or something. Yes. If they come out with a Pen F2, like another Pen F, yeah, that's definitely on my... I'm going to have that pre-order in. I'm a little weary of pre-orders because I always like to try to get a deal. Every single camera I've ever bought, I've gotten some kind of discount in one fashion or another. The smallest discount I ever got was like the 6% where they refund the sales tax. The biggest discount I ever got was, buying used, right? Meaning, I bought it for pennies on the dollar when I bought it used. I think the best deal I ever got was a GX85 with the 12 to 32 lens. I paid like $200 for the camera and the lens. It's a killer deal. Oh, Nature's here. How are you? Okay, if you come in late, Nature, because the first several minutes, 10, 15 minutes. There's no sound or there's no video or there's always some technical issue. um, Lawrence says, that is like Polaroid speakers for $16 at Big Lots. Not exactly a great thing if you think of the new Olympus as Polaroid. I don't go to Big Lots. I know what it is, but yeah, Polaroid, I'm very confused because Polaroid has gone through, they went out of business, then another company started making film for them. I forget what they were called, Incredible Project or something. And then Polaroid either bought that company and put their name on it or vice versa. But I think Polaroid actually, whoever owned that brand bought that company and started branding all the cameras and film using, their stuff. But yeah, I have a Polaroid SX70, which, I'm so happy. Such a great little camera, cosmetically looking. It's a very beautiful camera. And I bought some film for it. But it's like $2 a shot to use that thing for a crappy image, I mean, I guess it has some aesthetic value, right? The image is soft and focus isn't great and all that, but they make for interesting shots though if you're into artsy kind of photos. Some people are not. They want really crisp, clean images. Like in product photography, right? You can't do product photography and send them some art filtered photo, right? And Roberto Carlos Garcia is asking, how do you set up the IBIS for the body cap lens on the 15mm or the fisheye 9mm body cap? Oh, that's easy. I'll show you right now. Let me see. Let me try this button. Yeah. All right. So you just you go into the let me get out of video mode. So let's say I'm in aperture priority, right, or any photo mode. Then you go into the image stabilization in the super control panel, and I have to put a okay, so I click this, I can be in auto. But see where it says, right here, it says focus, or it says focal length info, right? So you click the info button on the back of your camera here. And right now you see it's, right now it says 9mm. So it's already kind of default to the 9mm body cap lens, but I click info again here, and then I can change this. So looks like you can go as low as 8mm on this camera anyway, and you would just change that to 15mm. So if you have the body cap lens on, either the 9 or the 15, you would change the focal length there in the camera. You would change it in the IBIS, and that's all you need to do. Nothing else you need to do. And just shoot an aperture priority, and then the camera automatically adjusts the shutter speed and ISO and everything for you for the correct exposure. Yeah, $2 per shot, Rudolph. You're right. And do I think there will be a new Olympus stills camera next year? I doubt it. I doubt it. The only way there'd be one next year is if Olympus has one in the works right now, and JIP continues that development for delivery for early next year. But based on the interview that I saw, I just don't see any consumer cameras coming out, like an OMD or a pen right now. And Guy Felding says, hi Rob, can you help with a question that bugs me? I use the OM1 and Fuji 25 film. I recently bought an OMD M10. Am I right that the lowest ISO is 100 on that camera? Yeah, there's an ISO 200, and then the other setting is a little bit vague. It's ISO low. It says ISO low. Let me look in my Lightroom and see what happens. I don't use the ISO low very often because it's there to help you use longer shutter speeds, but you know, if you need that extra stop, I have to look at my Lightroom catalog. Let me look at, I bought that camera in 2016. So, oh, you guys can't see what I'm doing here. Where is it? This button. EM10 Mark II. Let me change this to ISO. All right, so you see here the thing, I don't know if you can see this, but here's the EM10 Mark II. And let me just select raw images. And you can see I have an ISO 100, ISO 125, and ISO 160. There's no way to select one of those three specifically. The camera seems to automatically select some number below ISO 200 based on the exposure. So I've never seen it higher than 160. ISO 160, but you can see that most of the time I've done let's see, 600, you know, almost 700 images using ISO low, and most of them were ISO 100. Most of the time the camera chose ISO 100 when you put it to ISO low. But you can see there were a couple of times, not often, it chose a little bit higher ISO, 125 or 160. So just be aware of that. You can choose ISO low and it'll most likely select ISO 100 based on this, you know, at least 9 times out of 10. But it looks like time to time, it will pick a little bit higher ISO than ISO 100. And okay, so Guy, hopefully that helps answer your question. Lauren says, what I'm saying is that Jip will possibly trash the name over time as it becomes just another Vietnam camera. I would be surprised to see Olympus sell the brand name. Yeah, Olympus can't sell their brand name. I guess they could license it out. You know, they wouldn't sell it because how, you know, they have such a huge brand recognition. They may license it to JIP, but most likely JIP, I think they definitely are taking ownership of the brands OMD and Pen. But the brand Olympus, they may have to license that, and that might be part of the deal where they get a short-term license deal to continue to use the Olympus name. But I would think once that expires, they may have to come up with their own company name. Because you know, it's just expensive to keep paying for a brand name, right? It wouldn't. I would think it would be anyway. And Sephirin is saying, G9 has been sitting on the shelf since getting the M5 Mark III, liking that small body, the free extension grip. I don't think I'll be using it since you have to take it off every time. Oh, you have to take it off every time you change the battery, really? Yeah, my EM5 Mark III grip, I don't have to take it off to change the battery, you know, but I got that third-party one, so I have a video on it that, you know, and I like the third-party grip because it has the Arca Swiss plate on the bottom, which makes things a lot easier. For me, I should say. And Nature with Music says, had an interesting issue with my EM1 Mark II yesterday. Charged up Olympus battery, but only reached 67%. Loaded in the camera, which then set itself to manual focus, even though I always have AF plus MF. Yeah, it sounded like the battery's just not charged up enough, and when you stuck it in there, it didn't power up correctly because there wasn't enough juice. Is all I can guess. You know, electronics can be very finicky because cameras are just little computers now, right? So if they're not getting all the juice they're supposed to, um, sorry, I have to keep track of my text here. Okay. Um, but I don't know why. Did you stop charging it when it hit 67% for some reason? Or did it not charge up beyond 67% even though you left it in the charger? Because then the battery's defective. Um, but if you just didn't finish charging it, just finish charging it to 100%, then try again. And wouldn't you save the lens info in the lens info setting? Bob is at Bob Tishmar. You can do that on the Pen F and the EM1s, but you can't do that on the EM5 or the EM10 cameras. They don't have a lens info setting. But if you do have a Pen F or an OMD EM1 Mark II, Mark III, they do have another menu item where you can save the lens info setting so that you can say it's a 9mm body cap lens with a 9mm focal length for the IBIS, and then you just select the lens info anytime you put that lens on. But yeah, EM10s and EM5s don't have that. And Lauren's asking, does Jip have much of an R&D department? They don't have any other than what they buy, and they're buying the Olympus one. Supposedly they're trying to hire the talent, you know, the employees for R&D for the video side. You know, whatever the negotiations are there, according to the interview. But they are planning to bring over the R&D as far as I know. And oh, hey Thomas, yeah, you didn't miss much. Let's see. And DeMorkin, sorry, I'm trying to get this right. DeMorkin says, I think ISO low is like slide film I used to use. Keep it within the limitations and it gives great rendering. Okay. And Trevor's here. Hi, Trevor. I got your images. I did see some images come in for the photo editing live stream, so I'm looking forward to that. And John Kloster says, thanks for helping with my EM10 Mark II. You're welcome. And Nature says, the Olympus battery would not charge above 60%, so I fortunately have to, yeah, you got to chuck it. And Levente says, you should put Keymobile Reactor 4 controls behind you one time. That'd make for a nice gag. I have no idea what that is. Keymobile Reactor 4. Let's find out. Okay. Chernobyl's control room. Oh my God, look at that. I don't know if I can use these images though for my live stream because all the images I use are safe, right? They've they allow, using for streaming and things, but I either use my own images or images that I got from the site directly with permission. Unless they change their terms of service, which I might go back to just using my own images. And let's see. Chernobyl. See, my eyes are so bad. That looks like chemo, but it's Chernobyl. Because when I cut and pasted, it came up just fine. Will the next big thing in cameras be lightweight full-frame sensors? I like the size and grip of the Canon RP, but even the short zoom 24-105 is a little heavy. Not terrible, but anything longer, yeah. Yeah, as of now, I don't know how they're gonna do it. I mean, they could make smaller full-frame lenses, but then the image quality is gonna suffer. Because the reason the lenses are so heavy is because they put all these corrective lenses, you know, in the development, particularly zoom lenses, right? They have like 20 lenses in them to adjust for chromatic aberration and vignetting and all the other things, all the other defects that happen when you're using optics. So, you know, because when I look at my older vintage lenses, like my Nikon 200mm f4, it's not very big. It's heavy because it's all metal, but it's not very big because there's only 4 lenses in it, you know, and the image quality is fine. But when you pixel peep it, yeah, you start to see chromatic aberration and some other defects, but I don't know if a camera company is going to put out a lens with only like 3-4 lenses in it so that they can keep it smaller and lighter weight and still have good image quality. Because I don't think it would have the image quality that we're used to. Take, for example, the 800mm f8s from Canon, right? I mean, those lenses are huge, but they're not giant. Say, like if they were going to be an f5 or an f4 lens, they would probably be at least twice as big if they were f4s, if not bigger and heavier with more lenses. Oh yeah, Robin dropped in. Yeah, that was cool. You know, and I did a live stream yesterday with Peter, and Robin. Robin dropped in the chat section. He drops in mine time to time. What surprised me is that Peter was saying he listens or watches my live streams too. So hi, Peter. I was surprised. You know, he doesn't participate in the chat section all, which is fine. And everybody's welcome to participate in the chat section, you know, but I'm the same way though. When I watch other people's chat sections, I try not to participate. Because it's their live stream, right? If I want to live stream, I can do my own and chat with whoever I want, right? And Levente's asking, how much bigger is the EM1 compared to the EM5? Kind of between the EM1 Mark II and the EM5 Mark III. Seems like I'm getting a job and I could get one of them in a few months. I would get the EM1 Mark II. It's because, you know, if you see my video on comparing the EM5 Mark III versus the EM1 Mark II, there's so many reasons to buy the EM1 Mark II over the EM5 Mark III. And I think since you already have, I think you probably have an EM10 right now. You might as well get the EM1 Mark II and have a little larger camera. But let me see. Here's the EM5 Mark II. I'd show you the EM10, but the EM10 I got a grip on it right now. This EM5 doesn't. And this is about the same size. I do have a base plate on this, which I'm not going to take off because I got to use it tomorrow for work. But there's a, let me give you a little bigger screen. So there's the EM5 next to the EM1. There's a top, just so you can see. You know, it's bigger, but it's mostly in the grip, right? So, but it's not. It looks a lot bigger on camera, like in the live stream, than it does actually. Because when you hold this by the grip, you're like, this is awesome. The grip on this camera. So I would recommend you get this over the M5 Mark III. But, you know, of course, if the M5 Mark III's portability is a priority, then yeah, you're fine with the M5 Mark III. You're just going to lose some professional type features like easy access to custom settings, dual card slots, the ability to tether. You know, so there's some professional features that the EM1 Mark II has over the M5 Mark III, but image quality, image stabilization, video, everything is the same. Everything is the same. It's just lacking some professional features. Okay. No, Pen, there's no way to see the battery percent on an EM10 Mark II. It only is going to show you those 3 bars. And I saw where Sony is leaving Brazil. Oh, okay. I don't keep up with rumors and things like that. I tried to for a little bit last year when the EM5 Mark III was kind of being rumored to come out, and the Nikon Z50. I just made an ass out of myself talking about rumors. I didn't know what I was talking about. I was just speculating and talking trash, and it was just all crap. Now, if I could do it like Casey over there on Camera Conspiracies and make it fun and entertaining, yeah, great. You know, I'll talk about rumors all day long and just have some fun with it. But I'm trying to get all serious about it, and then it was just I look like an idiot, you know, because you know, I didn't want to pretend I knew what I was talking about, but at the same time I tried to speculate and give an educated guess. And of course, you know, I always put those disclaimers. It's just my own opinion, but then I put out stupid opinions if you really don't know, you know, and I'm just reading from the same rumor sites you guys are, right? So I think that's where Camera Conspiracies is pretty awesome, is they can read the same rumors sites and everything that we do, but he makes it entertaining and a lot of fun to watch. Even though it's all BS, you know. But I can't do that, so I don't do it anymore. And Peter says, oh, Rudolph says fair use. Yeah, I don't like to push my luck on those things. And Peter says, that's why, you know, it's like Frono's Photo. He has his Photo News Fix videos time to time or every day or whatever. I don't know how he gets away with using all those clips from those movies. To me, that's not fair use, you know? I know they're little 3-4 second clips, which is kind of the rule of thumb for fair use. I don't know how he gets away with that. I just can't believe that that is fair use. You know, he's using the videos for entertainment value as opposed to transforming it, making it his own, or commentating on it, doing commentary like reaction videos. You know, those things are all fair use, but just using them for entertainment value alone, wow, I don't know. I mean, maybe he can. I don't know. I'm not going to risk it though. And Peter says, I got my Lumix GX9 last week. Fine camera, except the EVF is not sharp. It does not help adjusting the dioptic, and it's not a rainbow issue some people see. Anyone got a similar problem on the GX9? I hear it uses the same EVF as my GX85. It's not great. I mean, I don't really have a problem with it. So I wouldn't say I'm having the same problem you are on that camera. And Levente says, return it and get a new one. Okay. Oh, Siegfried, how are you? I'm doing well, thank you. Thank you for asking. Good to see you here, Siegfried. It's funny, I was thinking about you the other day. I was like, you know, I haven't seen Siegfried in a long time. I hope he's okay. So I hope you're doing well too. And the Marked Wolf says the new 20mm f1.8Z is bigger than the 20mm f1.8 AFS F mount. Buying full frame mirrorless for size is kind of nonsense for me. Yeah. Yeah, definitely. I mean, the 20mm f1.8 AFS, that's a lens I actually own. Not a small lens, you know. I wish, where is it? I don't know. It's somewhere. I haven't pulled out my Nikon in so long or used it for anything. And that lens has some, you know, I paid 800 some bucks for that lens, and it's an awesome lens. I bought it actually when I was just starting out in real estate, and it wasn't quite wide enough, almost. I mean, I got by, but really 9mm or 8mm is ideal. You know, for real estate photography. In micro four thirds terms, in full frame, 16mm is really ideal. The goat ate my soup. Gosh, I haven't had soup in a long time. You know, my mom has been, I don't know what it is this year, but she's been really, she hasn't been fixing me soup or buying me food that I don't like as much. I mean, she still does cook things for me that I don't like. If you guys don't know, my mom used to interrupt my live streams all the time with either bringing me soup or, you know, she's already been to my house today. She lives like 2 blocks from me. Today she brought me tofu and some sweet potatoes. I don't know. I mean, but she's been better. She's been better about not giving me stuff I don't like. And I keep telling her, I can't eat that much, you know. I just cooked and she'd bring me more food. I said, Mom, I already cooked today, but okay. Ugh. Now I'm getting hungry thinking about food again. Thanks. And Bob is asking, is the new video format for the EM1 Mark III any use to you? Not really. The way I remember it, I forget exactly. Let me look it up real quick. I think Peter had a post on his thing, right? Oh, dang it. Hopefully I'm still live. I accidentally closed the wrong window. Let me see. Peter Forsgaard. Let me just look at it again. Peter Forsgaard. Go to his channel here. Community. ProRes RAW by the end of the year. Read more about it. I'm sorry, guys. ProRes RAW with these cameras. Oh, okay. So, yeah, I can't use it. Because it's for recording externally to an external recorder, and I don't have an Atomos Ninja, you know, external recorder to record in ProRes RAW. So the EM1 Mark III apparently has 10-bit 422 output through the HDMI port, but I don't have an external recorder that'll do that. I can do 1080 because I do have a Blackmagic Cinema something external recorder, but it's only for 1080, and I'll have to try it on that. But I can't use an external recorder in my video work because I'm on a slider, and it'd just be too bulky and heavy, and the files are so huge. It's not worth it. I mean, maybe I'll have to give some thought. If it makes a huge difference in my workflow, then maybe, but I don't see it helping me that much. The Canon Cripple Hammer, yeah, that's a classic on Casey's channel. Yeah, Watson, I don't know where the question was, but Watson batteries are generally well regarded as third-party batteries go. Uh, so if you have to recommend a third-party battery brand, Watson is the only one I would recommend reluctantly. I always, as far as recommendations go, I always say get the original batteries. Don't mess around with generics. Now, that said, I have twice as many generic batteries as I do original batteries. But that's because I want the charger. I like the chargers, I don't care. You can buy generic all day long. But when you buy the charger, it's like, for $5 more, here's three batteries for free. And I'm like, okay, well, not for free, but for like nickel difference, you can get some batteries with the charger. So I said, it doesn't hurt to have some generic batteries. But yeah, I just chucked another couple generics the other day because they started to swell a little bit. And they don't last very long. And even my originals, like here's a generic. Has a big X spot on it because this one's gone bad. It started to swell. So I got to take this to a proper place to dispose of. Best Buy takes these, they have little bins you can drop these in. And this is an original battery that I my fault. I was testing the wattage or drainage on these batteries to see what the true capacity was, and then I burned it out somehow. But yeah, I got to take those into a proper place to dispose. And Siegfried says, I do thank you for asking. I saw you showing the E330 and we're lucky to get the E500 in great condition. I also have an E400, the 10 megapixel Kodak sensor. Yeah, I can't wait to try. I gotta buy a camera with a Kodak sensor in it. I mean, I really love the E330. It just feels it's a very different experience and it's amazing. But I was really looking forward to getting a Kodak sensor, and I thought that was the one with the Kodak sensor, but I was wrong. But I'm still happy I got it. This one here, my E330. This is and I got this lens really cheap. This is the 14 to 54 f2.8. I got this for like $80. I mean, this is like $200 on eBay all day long. And I don't know how I got such a good deal on it, but the camera store, they were selling it for $100 and they gave me, oh, I'm sorry, $90. They gave me 10% off, so I paid $90 for it. So their loss is my gain. And glass is getting really big because they need to get all the 40 something megapixels sharp on a full frame sensor. That's what MFT does really well. Get small pixels sharp and they're catching up. Yes. He's been watching you live stream. Who has, Thomas? That's been something I said earlier. I don't know what you're referring to anymore. My brain, I just can't remember things. My short-term memory is so bad. I mean, after a few minutes, whatever I talked about, I can't remember. And Nature is asking, the lenses produced by Olympus are as important as the cameras. Generally, they are better than the Lumix. Wow, let's not open up that can of worms, man. That's a major food fight issue there. I really like the 12 to 32 pancake lens. I think definitely that one is better than the Olympus kit lens. Now, I think as a rule of thumb, it's best to put Olympus lenses on Olympus cameras. You will get better performance across the board as a rule of thumb. And the same thing goes with Panasonic. If you put Panasonic lenses on Panasonic bodies, you're going to get better performance. In autofocus and sharpness, because I don't know what magic sauce they put in their their firmware and stuff, but somehow the lenses work better on their own cameras. And then when you mix brands, they'll still work fine, but there have been issues with mixing brands sometimes. Now, oh, if it's a girl is forcing, it's not a girl, it's my mom. And Guy Felding says, "Hi Rob, thank you for your feedback. I'm still trying to get my head around if digital ISO is equivalent to old school film ISO." Yeah, I think it's close because I have a few vlogs where I shot film right next to digital, and I used the settings from my digital camera and set them on my film camera, and the exposures came out fine. So I was shooting, say, ISO 200 film or 100 film. What was I shooting? I think I was shooting ISO 200, whatever. You know, whatever ISO film I bought, I set that to my digital camera, and then I used the digital camera metering for the film, and they came out fine. I mean, I'm sure there's some nuances to that that I'm not familiar with, because film has very different character to it, right? Like I know for long exposures, you can't just simply do the same exposure settings. And then film is better saving highlights, but really the shadow areas are noisier than, say, digital is at the same exposure. Things like that. There's some nuances with film over digital. Okay, yeah, Guy, actually, just if you're gonna shoot, if you're gonna set the ISO on your camera, if you want the best image quality, the base ISO on Olympus cameras is 200. So always look for the base ISO of the camera and use that. Don't try to go lower or higher over the base ISO. You know, like on Fujifilm, my X-T30 has a base ISO of 160, and base ISO on my Nikon is 100. So whatever the base ISO of your digital camera is, that's what you want to use for best image quality. Anything outside of the base ISO is an extension that is done digitally in software after the fact. So always stay as close to base ISO as you can, if not spot on base ISO. Does anyone remember the Casio F100 with 1,000 frame per second video? I can't imagine. No, I don't remember it at all. But I do know there's cameras out there that do like 1,000 frames per second. I mean, for me, it would just be for fun, once in a blue moon, if at all. I would never buy a camera like that. I mean, I might do it once if I had some application for it, you know, that I could use it for, maybe. But I can't think of anything I would need 1,000 frames per second for. That's the kind of thing, like if your friend has a camera that does that, you borrow it and just have fun with it for a little bit, then that's it. For me, anyway. Yeah, yeah, Bob, I got that lens for $90, not 80. I remember it's 10% off 100. So they were asking, I think it was $99, and they gave me 10% off, so it was $89. That's why I was confused. That's why I said $80, but I meant $89. Oh, my mom's been watching. Yeah. Yeah. She's been good about not giving me soup anymore. She still complains though. She's on this kick about me eating eggs now. She's like, just eat one egg yolk a week. I'm like, okay, Mom. One egg yolk. I mean, come on. Is it worth it to buy digital teleconverters? If you mean teleconverters, yeah, teleconverters, if you buy the Olympus originals, they're great. If they if you have the lens that'll fit them. There are generic teleconverters that you screw on the front of the lens. They have one for a kit lens, I believe, from Olympus. That's fine. But most of the third-party ones, yeah, they suck. So I don't recommend buying the screw on the front type teleconverters. But the original teleconverters, they have it's a 1.4 and a 2.0x teleconverter, 2x and a 1.4x. Those two are great. They only work with like the 40 to 150 Pro, the 300 Pro, so you have to have the right lens to go with it. They don't work with just any lens. And yeah, so technically you don't buy, you when you said digital teleconverter is what's already built into the camera. It does it by software, so it's not a physical teleconverter like I was talking about that you screw on the front or put in between your lenses. I think these screw on the front teleconverters, they say digital on them, so maybe that's the confusion, that they're for digital cameras, but that's just marketing. That doesn't mean anything. Nature says, no problem for me mixing brands. I have both Olympus. So you pick the best option. Yeah, I mean, it's fine. There are just some little things that, like, I know, like, if you put an Olympus lens on a Panasonic camera, supposedly you lose the depth from defocus feature. You know, that's supposed to speed up focusing on Panasonics. So I don't think you get that feature when you're using Olympus lenses. And then when you put Panasonic lenses on Olympus cameras, you lose things like focus stacking. I think you still get high res, but then you lose a couple of small features that are really insignificant. You know, it's very insignificant, but there are little things like that. And Sigfi says, do you remember the KMA2? I do not. The Ollie C8080, yes, I have seen that one. And the Canon and Nikon all use the same 8 megapixel sensor. Oh, okay. I picked up one of those older KMA2s and the C8080. The C8080 is really interesting. Let me look at that real quick. The C8080. This thing. Oh, that is interesting looking. Look at that. What is that? Huh. Has its own built-in zoom, f2.4 to 3.5, pretty decent. LCD screen on the back, it looks like it flips out a little bit. So this looks a lot like my E330, but it's more of a bridge camera than a interchangeable lens camera. Huh, that's cool. Is that a Kodak sensor in that camera? How much did they ask for this thing? $57. Huh, wow, that's cheap. I've spent more on filters and batteries than that. Are mirrorless cameras the future? Yeah, why not? I don't see them, meaning our DSLR is going to disappear. I wouldn't be surprised if they do. You know, with the the mirrored cameras, the SLRs. So I think mirrorless is pretty much it going forward. I mean, I'd be really surprised if people are still producing DSLRs, say, 2 years from now. Pentax might, though. Maybe Pentax. So there'll always be someone, right? But I don't see any future for DSLR anymore. Okay, so true. Pen's saying he meant the 2.0 and the 1.4x. Yeah, definitely worth it if you have the lens. And Lauren says, I see the Olympus 30 macro is $224 and they have a $50 discount code from a past purchase or something going on Olympus US. So I might bite. The 60 macro would be $349 and the 17 $349. Wow. I don't have much use for macro lenses, but those all look like good deals. You know, the 30 macro though, I've seen for about half that price. Like on a refurb, if you go to the Olympus refurb site, if they ever have the 30 macro on there, I've seen it for like half that. Yeah, Rudolph is telling me the scientific study is 1 egg a day is okay. I mean, I've seen there's studies from from multiple different countries, from their respective medical, whatever the reputable medical journals and things that do studies on it. And some countries they say every day is okay, 7 eggs a day if you want, but other studies say less is fine. So I eat 2 eggs a day every morning, and I have noticed a difference for me personally, but it's all very subjective. I don't unless I go to the doctor, I don't have any way to objectively measure those things. But I have noticed a difference in for me. Today I bought my first Olympus EM1 Mark II with a 12 to 40 2.8. Now I'm trying to understand it. It's so different to the Canon I'm used to. Looking forward to see how it works. Yes, it's an awesome camera. What you can do is, I do have a video on the EM5 Mark III, like best menu settings, and it's very, very similar to the EM1 Mark II. So HKM 5757, you can watch my video on the EM5 Mark III, and it should give you a good head start on the EM1 Mark II. And I'm sure Peter Forsgaard and Robin Wong also have very good videos on settings for the EM1 Mark II. But my videos are generally very basic. They're very detailed and step-by-step kind of things. So just be prepared to sit down for about 30 minutes if you're going to watch one of my videos. But Peter and Robin, they like to do shorter 10-minute videos. So if you're already pretty proficient with your Canon, you may like their videos better. But you can check mine out, And Nature says, I got the 1.4 and the 2.0 teleconverters for free when I bought the 40 to 150 and 300 lenses back from canceled trip. Yeah. Man, you got a good deal. Because I think the 2X teleconverter is like $400 or something all by itself. I'm waiting for a deal on a 40 to 150 Pro. I saw one on the refurb site for $1,100. Oh, I don't know if I can bite though. That's still a lot of money. $1,100. And let's see. Randy says, I was reading today the Pentax K1 has GPS, IBIS, and Astro Tracer. That would be able to make it into the M1X. No, I doubt it. I doubt it. There's just I doubt it. That is something that always interests me though about the Pentax, was that Astro Tracer. And if you're not familiar with Astro Tracer, basically it shifts the sensor slightly to track the stars, so you don't really need one of those separate star tracker devices. You still need a star tracker device for very, very long exposures, but the Astro Tracer does it by shifting the sensor instead of, you have to use a star tracker. So it's an interesting feature, and supposedly it works very well. I'm not sure what the range of exposure is, how much longer you can expose using astrotracer versus just not having astrotracer, but I would imagine, you know, at least a minute or 2 minutes longer with an astrotracer. Because the stars, you know, depending on your focal length and all that, but yeah. Siegfried says, not sure. You need to check the sat function in the C8080. It gives more info on the origins of this function. In fact, go see OM4 highlight and dark buttons also explains the origins. Okay. And Plato says, I'm drawn to the GX85. Yeah, it's not a bad little camera. It's got the same, it's got that weird EVF in it. It's not like a true OLED EVF. So you have to, you know, if you can, see if the EVF works for your eyes or not. It works fine for mine, but if you're just off axis a little bit, it does tend to smudge or smear the view. It doesn't bother me at all, but that has always been the biggest complaint that I've heard about the GX. The GX is from Olympus or from Panasonic. Yeah, Rudolph, you got hungry. Yeah, I'm hungry too. What time is it? Oh, I gotta start my next stream here in a few minutes. How expensive is the astrotracer? Yeah, astrotracer's built into the camera, so you can buy like a $800 Pentax. I forget which one it is, the K7 or the KP has it. Most of the Pentax DSLRs have the astrotracer built into them. The star trackers can run anywhere from $300 and up, you know, but I think a $300 one is good enough for most people. But that's a whole different workflow that, you know, if you really get an astrophotography without one, you might want to start thinking about getting one. But if you just want to get one and try astrophotography, you know, out of the gate, that's a big step. Because it's just added, I mean, it's just a lot more work. Ultimately, the results are much better, but just don't eat an egg with an Edwina curry brand. Okay. Oh, music is here. Good to see you. Yeah, I gotta move on to my next stream here in a minute. Let me get through these questions. You need a built-in compass to work, which EMX1 has. Yes. Yeah, I'm sure the EM1X is capable because it has all the hardware, right? It has the GPS, it has the IBIS in it. But I don't know if they're gonna update the firmware or do anything to add that kind of feature, right? I think that takes a certain amount. That's going to take some R&D that I don't think they've done, and they're not going to start now. That's for sure. Oh, and Randy says the astrotracer works up to 5 minutes. Oh, okay, good. Again, that would be dependent on focal length, I'm sure. And Brad is asking, do any of my how-to vids deal with depth of field and its nuances? No, I do not. I did not cover depth of field. And Stanislav says, in DP review, the M1 Mark III resolution test performed with the Panasonic Nocticron, yeah, that 42.5 f1.2 in the JPEG. One can download these beats almost all 24, including. Okay, so you're saying the high-res shot mode, or not high-res shot mode, but the resolution test with the M1 Mark III and a good lens had good, almost beats the higher resolution cameras. Yeah, I mean, you put a good lens on it and good light, any camera will give you good resolution, right? I mean, that's what it comes down to, is you have to have a good lens to get really sharp images if you pixel peep. And the only thing that the sensor does is whether or not it has the an anti-alias filter on it or not. That can kind of mess up the pixel peeping resolution. But But okay, let's see. Nature's a great chat as always. Much better than the rubbish on TV. Oh, thanks. I'm flattered. And thank you, Randy. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. John says, always enjoy this. Yep, me too. And Truepan says, I went to South Dakota last week and got some good pics. Jupiter, Saturn, Mars using my LAO. Awesome. Awesome. You should share those on my forum if you get a chance. I'd love to see them. And you're not buying Pentax for Astro. And Lex says, can you make a video on the EM10 Mark II with a 35mm prime lens? I've broken on lens f1.4 but can't really seem to get sharp images while taking stills indoors. Lex, I'd have to see some images that you took that you didn't like for me to kind of analyze what the problem is. Because it could be anything. So if you post them on my forum, some images, and you want some feedback, I can try and figure out, because someone's asked me that before. They were taking pictures with the M5 Mark III and a good lens, and they weren't happy with the resolution. And I said, well, and I looked at them, and ultimately it was, you're getting the same results I am. You know, those are the images you're going to get with this camera. And then other times it was clear, you know, there was some motion blur or some other issues that I could address. So I have to see the images to see what the problem may or may not be. The problem with the other person not liking the images is he was using a point and shoot and then spent, you know, $1,500 on this camera with the lens and then wasn't impressed. And I was like, yeah, it's that's what you're gonna get. You know, it's not. It's you know, his compact camera was doing a good job. I forget which one he had. You know, it had a decent lens and sensor in it, but it was still a compact camera, and he was expecting $1,500 more worth of image quality when that's just not how it works. You know. But okay, I have to run, everybody. I'm going over to my photo editing live stream, where you can submit your pictures and we just edit them live online for everyone to see and just have some fun with those. So thanks everybody for joining today. I really appreciate each and every one of you coming in and participating in the chat section, or even if you're just watching, it's always happy to have you here. So thanks again, and maybe we'll catch you in the next stream starting in a few minutes.